Tom Vasel, and welcome to Lookback. This is where I take a look at reviews I did a year, 5 years, and 10 years ago. And we'll see what we think of them now, if I can remember some of them, especially the ones from 10 years ago. But let's take a look at last year. First, there was Ghosts of the Moor, which is from the fantastic design team of Kramer and Kiesling, and is very similar to a game they did called That's Life, but a lot more lucky and just not great components. The whole thing was just not a very good game. Contract, beautiful game, really gorgeous looking game about the mafia, great components, a kind of bidding. It's a little wacky, but I enjoyed it. Air, Land, and Sea. This game has really taken off over the past year. Just continually sells well. It's a small two-player kind of back and forth where you're battling for air, land, and sea. Very generic game, but it's done well, and I enjoyed it. Dungeon Academy is a very fun roll and write game where you're rolling and then you are using the dice that you're rolling essentially to build a dungeon for yourself to go through. A cool idea. Sushi Roll, I dropped it slightly, if only because I still think it's a good game, but Sushi Roll works best with fewer numbers. Sushi Party works well with all numbers, so I probably will play Sushi Go a little bit more than I would play Sushi Roll. Wreck Raiders. This is a fantastic game. Just played it a month ago again, where you roll dice into a box, and where those dice land, you then draft. It will affect maybe some things. Then you'll draft these dice to get actions. It's just a neat idea. A very simple set collection game with great components. Lord of the Rings Journey of Middle-earth. Still think this is a fantastic game. I have not yet finished a campaign of this, but you never know, that might happen soon. And then My First Castle Panic. What a fantastic game for young children. Castle Panic is a pretty good game for kids as it is. It's a cooperative game defending this. My First Castle Panic is for very young children, and I loved it. It worked really well. Alrighty, 5 years ago, Truth's Too Terrible. This was a game about, this whole what's happening behind the scenes, monsters and such, and it's just not a good game. Missing Link. This is an interesting idea where you have an object and there's an object on a table and you're giving a clue that counts to both of them, but the rules are too ambiguous and the art isn't very well done. 101 seemed like a very interesting game. A two-player game, computer logic style game, but at the end of the day, I found it too lucky to be very useful. The Fittest. This is a game in which you are, think like Survivor almost in a sense. You're on an island and doing actions and challenges. It's okay. The Magnates. This is a Polish area control game, which looks a little boring. And it's an okay area control game. Brewcrafters. Now this is an interesting game. This is a fairly big game. Think Agricola, but with beer. There's a little bit more to it than that. There's a lot going on in this game. It never really took off that much. It's a little bit more straightforward, and the strategy doesn't offer as big of a branching path, and maybe that's what it is. And then the Majority, the complete edition. This is it's like a political game, but with witches. And you're choosing sides and teams, and there's some pretty neat concepts there. 10 years ago, I took a look at Valdora. Now, Valdora is a game that I thought was okay. But there's some neat things about it. One, it had a spell book where you flip cards back and forth in this book, and that was neat. And it was a pick-up and delivery game with a fantasy theme. Some people really like it. My co-host Eric Summer really enjoys it. I thought it was okay. Batik. This one has dropped for me. I think when I originally played Batik, I would have given it an 8. But now there's a game called Drop It, which does the same thing as Batik. In Batik, you just drop shapes. The first person to make the shape come out the top loses. Drop It does the same thing, but has a much cooler, interesting game next to it, so that I would play that instead. And then Riches and Rascals. This is a game that just is one of those games where you're playing cards, luck, take that style games, not worth your time even looking at. And those are the reviews I did a year, 5, and 10 years ago. Until next time, I'm Tom Vasel. We'll see y'all later.